The National Archives came out with a statement on Saturday saying that they are still missing some key documents from the Trump White House. The agency did not say who specifically may have those documents right now. The acting U.S. archivist sent a letter to the House Oversight Committee saying it was trying to obtain electronic messages from unnamed White House officials who used their personal email and messaging accounts. The archivist said the National Archives, quote, would consult with the Department of Justice on whether to initiate an action for the recovery of records unlawfully removed. At the same time, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the special master case to speed up its appeal. The DOJ argues that the process is slowing its criminal investigation. The Trump team insists the former president did nothing wrong. Meanwhile, the former president is dealing with another investigation, this one into the role he and members of the White House may have played in the January 6th riots at the Capitol. Joining us now is Florida State Attorney Dave Aronberg. Dave, thank you for being with us. We'll get to all of this in a moment, but you're in Florida. I would be remiss if I didn't ask how you and so many are doing as you watch the cleanup and recovery efforts from Ian.
Marni, thank you for asking. Here on the east coast of Florida, we dodged the bullet. We're thankful that the storm did not directly hit us. At the same time, our hearts and our prayers are going out to our friends on the west coast and inside the central part of Florida. They really got walloped. This is the worst that I've seen. And I've got to say that hopefully we can all come together, as your last guest said, in an apolitical way and give help to those in need. It's really bad over there.
Yeah, millions of people in need. All right, Dave, thank you for weighing in on that. I want to understand executive power as we talk about the former president and the documents seized at Mar-a-Lago, and I know it's something you know a lot about. It's interesting, I heard some of your comments on this not too long ago, and you said you thought that Trump may be trying to set up his defense and blame his lawyers for what we've seen happen. Give me a little bit more insight into what you mean.
Marni, Trump has not articulated a legal defense thus far for why he had the documents, except for saying things like, well, the FBI planted them or I declassified them. Both would fail because, first off, there's no evidence the FBI planted it. In fact, his lawyers refused to go on record to say that. And secondly, whether he declassified them or not doesn't matter because the statutes at play here do not require the documents to be classified. So in thinking about his types of defenses that are available to him, perhaps the best one would be that he relied on his lawyers. And in fact, Christina Bobb, one of his lawyers, sent a declaration to the Fed saying that Trump had indeed returned all the government documents. That puts her now in the DOJ's crosshairs. It could open herself up to criminal liability. That's why some people are saying the term MAGA really stands for making attorneys get attorneys. But the longer that Trump continues to have these documents, and you see the archives letter saying, hey, you still have these documents. The longer that he still has these documents, the harder it will be for him to throw his lawyers under the bus and to evade criminal charges.
A major development, Dave, and we mentioned this a moment ago, the National Archives says it is still missing some documents from the Trump administration. How significant is that? And we only saw a search of Mar-a-Lago. Could there potentially be other searches of other properties?
Yes, there's nothing stopping the feds from looking at Bedminster and other properties. And as I was saying, the longer that Trump has these documents, the more evidence can be accumulated against him for possible criminal charges like obstruction under 18 U.S.C. 1519. That's the big whammy here because that's punishable by up to 20 years in federal prison. There's also the Espionage Act, 18 U.S.C. 793, subsection E, which outlaws the unlawful possession and retention of sensitive government documents. Again, nothing requires these documents to be classified, which is why it is not a defense for Trump to say, I declassified them. And it is curious that so far he has not articulated a defense. So the more evidence is out there that he continues to possess these documents after repeated warnings by the federal government, the worse things are for Trump from a legal basis.
We have seen the special master involvement continues to delay things. How does that impact the DOJ's ability to investigate as they seem to take issue with the timing?
The whole purpose, from Trump's perspective, of the special master was to delay. And yet the special master that they recommended and who was ultimately appointed, Judge Deary, wanted to expedite the matter. And he could have, but Judge Cannon then stepped in, as she has several times already, and had gave Trump everything he wanted and then some. She extended her own deadlines, and that is frustrating the Department of Justice, who sees that this is going to jeopardize our investigation by incorporating more delays. And so the DOJ went to the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals and said, hey, can you step in and essentially take the case away from Judge Cannon, who never really had jurisdiction in this matter to begin with? And that's the ruling we are awaiting. But keep in mind, Marni, that just last week, the 11th Circuit Court of Appeals ruled against Judge Cannon and allowed DOJ to continue to review 100 classified documents that they seized from Mar-a-Lago. So I think the 11th Circuit, with a panel of 3 judges, including 2 appointed by Trump himself, will rule for DOJ again.
Well, and in tandem with the DOJ investigation of the Mar-a-Lago documents, Dave, you've got opening statements beginning today in the trial for the Oath Keepers founder Stuart Rhodes and other associates charged with seditious conspiracy around January 6th. How does that impact the current investigation, and how significant is that case to everything else that's going on?
I think this case against the Oath Keepers is important for the January 6th investigation because it's the first trial of folks who are being charged with seditious conspiracy. That is the most serious charge so far regarding January 6th. Now, if they could get a conviction, and it's been 30 years since the federal government has obtained a conviction for the charge of seditious conspiracy, I expect you may see more of those charges. If they can't get a conviction here, I think DOJ is going to be a lot less inclined to charge the leaders of January 6th with such an important and serious crime, which is punishable by up to 20 years in prison. To prove seditious conspiracy, you have to show that people had an agreement and that in the agreement, someone acted upon it to commit violence to stop a lawful function of the government. You would think it's at play here, but the defendants are saying that, well, they have First Amendment rights. They were just talking about it. They didn't really do anything. But the government seems to have the goods on Stuart Rhodes and his ilk from the Oath Keepers.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Dave Aronberg, good to see you. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.